Welcome back to College Algebra videos. In this video, we'll be solving systems of equations by graphing it. And in fact, there'll be a series of 3 videos where we solve the same equations, but in different ways. So today's method is the graphing method. So we'll definitely do that. So let's go ahead and get started here. This is from section 1. And we'll be looking at equations like this. And so the goal here, the goal is to find 2 numbers. We're looking for 2 numbers, x and y. So that when you plug them into the first equation, so if you plug in your x here and you plug in your y here, we want to get 2 after you would do the arithmetic. And then those same 2 numbers, exactly the same 2 numbers, when you plug it in here and you plug it in here, you want it to give you -2. And so that's our goal. And so I'm going to label the first equation 1, and I'll work with it in blue. And I'll label the second equation 2, and I'll label that in red. And so our first step when trying to solve these by graphing is usually, the easiest way is to isolate y in each equation. So isolate y in each equation and graph. Okay, so let's look at the first one. The first one, so equation 1, 2x minus y equals 2. So I want to isolate the y. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x. And I get -y equals -2x plus 2. And then when I would divide by -1 here. And when I divide everything by -1, I'll get that positive y equals positive 2x minus 2. And so now I want to graph this. And so here's where I hope you remember. It's been a while, but this is something that we do definitely want you to remember how to do. It'll be on your final, that's for sure. So here the slope, if you recall, the slope is given by the number in front of the x, which is 2. So this is equal to 2. And usually what we do is we put it over 1 to make it a fraction. And the y-intercept is the second number that I'm going to highlight right now, -2. And so we usually write this as a point just to remind you that you have to go to the point 0, -2. And that would be on your y-axis. So here, let me label a little bit, by the way. Make sure to always label your graphs. So 0, -2 is the point down here. And then what you do is you start from this point down here, and you go up 2 and over 1. And then you do it again, up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. And so you get this series of points that are the same sort of slope apart. By the way, we haven't talked about this in class. Some of you had figured it out. But if you're always going up 2 and over 1, up 2 and right 1, up 2 and right 1, then the opposite would be to go down 2 and to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1. And so you can get points the other way. And those should make sense too. And so once you have this, then you hopefully have a ruler, and you take it out, and you go ahead and graph these points, and you connect them, and you get a nice little line. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the second one. So the second equation is x minus 2y equals -2. And so we're going to try to isolate the y again. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And I get -2y equals -x minus 2. And this time I want to divide by -2. Here we go, -2. And I get that y is equal to 1/2 x. I'm going to write it as 1/2, and negative divided by a negative is a positive, 1 over 2. And then here I get a plus 1. And so now this means, of course, that the slope is 1/2, and the y-intercept is 0, 1. And so, of course, 0, 1 is the point here. And then this time our slope is 1/2, so we're going to go up 1 and to the right 2, up 1 and to the right 2. We're going to continue making points here, 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 and also here, and then connect these. And by now you can kind of see where these 2 lines meet. And in fact, that specific point where the 2 lines meet, let's make this in purple, this is the solution of the equation. Now let's talk about y. We are looking for 2 numbers, x and y. This is an equation of a line. So I want the 2 numbers to be on this line, but I also want the 2 numbers to be on the equation of this line. And so that means in pictures here in the graph, we want to know the point that is on the blue line and the point that's on the red line, and that's the point that's here. And so our solution, so let me call this 2. The solution is where the lines meet. And in this case, in this example, the solution is 2, 2. But then if you recall, it actually says that we need to check our work. We need to check our results. And so what you do is you check by plugging in, oh, by the way, this here, that means x equals 2, and this one over here, that means y equals 2. So we plug in x equals 2 and y equals 2 into both equations. Now, when you do this on a quiz or a test, what you're doing is you're trying to do this quickly because you have a lot of problems to do. So it's okay if you do it on your head, unless I tell you to actually show me your work. And so in this particular case, if you plug it into the first equation, so 2 minus some number is equal to 2, and in both cases, that number is 2. That's the first equation. And notice this is true. Here, I'll get 4 minus 2 equals 2, and this is good. In the second equation, it's x. Actually, let me erase that. I actually want to put parentheses. It's x, so some number x, minus 2 times the number y is equal to negative 2. And so those numbers, the x is a 2, the y is a 2, and so 2 minus 4 is negative 2. This is correct also. This is definitely correct. And so we checked, and this is the solution, so our answer is right here. This is our solution. And you can write it like that, or you can write it like this. Either way will work. All right, let's look at another one. So you might want to try this other one on your own, but there is a slight mistake, so let me correct it right now. Here we go. It's a little off, but here the mistake is that this number 2 should actually be a 1. Okay, that should be a 1. So go ahead and pause it and then try it and come back. Okay, let's see what you got. So again, I'm going to label these equations. This will be equation 1, and this will be equation 2. And then in equation 1, I'm going to go ahead and solve for y, so x plus 2y equals 1. So I'm going to subtract the x, and I get 2y equals to negative x plus 1. And then I'm going to divide by 2. So divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here, so that I get that y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1/2. But now I run into a problem here. I want to get a really exact answer, but this 1/2 is really troubling me because I'm afraid I'm not going to get the best answer possible. But let's see if we can work through this. So 1/2 I know is about here, right? But I'm afraid I'm not going to be accurate enough. So let me give you a different way of doing this. If the x is 1, notice your y will be 0. When you plug in 1 for x, you get negative 1/2 times 1 plus 1/2. So you get negative 1/2 plus 1/2, and that's definitely equal to 0. So instead of starting at the y-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and start at 1, 0. And then from here, the slope says the slope is negative 1/2. So I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 2, down 1 and to the right 2, but I'm also going to go the other way. And this is just to make sure I get an accurate answer, because otherwise, I might not get the most accurate graph at all. And so that's my graph for number 1. So if you use the 1/2, it's okay, but just understand that it's going to be hard to get the answer, the correct answer this way. In fact, that's why we're going to discuss a different method in the next couple of videos, because sometimes these graphing ones can really cause problems. Now for equation 2, we have 3y minus 2x equals negative 9. So I'm going to add 2x on both sides. I get 3y equals 2x minus 9. I'm going to divide everything by 3. And so I get that y equals 2/3 x minus 3. And in this case, that means I can start at negative 3, which is right here on the y-axis, and I go up 2 and over 3. And in fact, once I do that, I don't know if you noticed, but I was able to get the answer right away. I was able to see that they're going to cross at this one point. And this one point right here, that is, well, I didn't label it, so this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5. And then I go up by 5, so this is actually the point 3, negative 1. And so then we check. we check to make sure. And so in equation 1, it's some number plus 2 times the y is equal to 1. That number is, the x is 3, the y is negative 1. And sure enough, 3 minus 2 is 1. And then the second equation, it's going to be 3 times the y minus 2 times the x, and I'm supposed to get negative 9. Well, the x is 3, and the y is negative 1. Oops, I made a mistake here. The first number is the y. The first number is the y, which is negative 1. The second number is the x, which is the 3. And sure enough, I get that negative 3 minus 6 equals negative 9. Whew, I almost thought I got it wrong. So our solution is 3, negative 1. And that's how I want you to write it. Or the other way, you can also say 3, negative 1, or you can say x equals 3, y equals negative 1. All right, have fun with your homework. Good luck. If you have any questions, ask me.